right. Hey, it's Noah Volz, and you're watching the DC to B revolution, where students are investing in the future of chiropractic. Really looking forward to talking to my guest today, Dr. Tracey Wright. In my opinion, Dr. Tracey Wright is a globetrotter. She's a compassionate activist and a warrior against the deferred life plan, which is basically doing all this hard work and then waiting until you can actually do all the stuff that you really want to do at the end of your life. So Tracey, thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We'll chat.
Yeah, it's still new to me. This is only my 5th or 6th interview, so I'm really looking forward to learning from you.
Great.
So the first question I have for you is all about gratitude. And in my mind, you're somebody who's made choices that has allowed you to experience a lot of gratitude in your life. And so I was wondering if you could tell a story about when you've experienced a real sense of gratitude.
Well, I had a very interesting experience this past weekend. I have a rental car for the summer. Every summer I've chosen to, because I don't live close to my family, but in the summertime I come back and visit them for 2 months. And that was something I started when I was in practice in Maui, which I'm not anymore. Anyhow, I lost the fob to my rental key.
Oops.
And it was missing for over 24 hours. It just was totally missing. And I've never driven a car with a electronic fob before. So it was very frustrating because I knew that I had, had the key somehow to drive to my sister's. And then all of a sudden it was missing. Anyhow, Dr. Katina Manning, who is my childhood chiropractor, was having a seminar at her office. And after the Saturday event, she invited me to come over and sleep over with everyone. And I was really excited to be around everyone, but I felt myself being really grouchy about this key things. I didn't want to have to pay hundreds of dollars for a key, and I was just frustrated. And I have taken myself off of Facebook for the summer, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to just hop on this one little page that's a community chat in the community where I'm from and mention what happened. And during the events of the evening with the chiropractors, we pulled out some angel cards. And I said, okay, this next card I'm going to pick for the key, the missing key. And I picked prayer. And I go, well, I got to keep praying about it. It's got to be out there somewhere. Nothing in the universe is ever missing. And right about that same time, someone got on the Facebook chat and wrote, I found a key in the beach parking lot, and I put it by the trash can. So Katina and another chiropractor named James and I drove down to the beach at 11:30 at night with our flashlights looking for the key, and we didn't see it. And I was so frustrated. Yet James came over to me and he said, what are you feeling right now? And I wanted to be like, but I said, okay, I'm going to feel very grateful. This is a small community, grateful for Facebook, even though I've been so annoyed with it lately. I'm feeling grateful that it led me here. Anyhow, the harbor master came over and he got his flashlight out, and here we are all kind of down on the ground looking for this one single fob, and up drives a police car, and he thinks we're stumbling around. He's like, what are these people doing near midnight stumbling around? And so what are you doing? And I said, well, we're looking for a key. And he said, what kind of key? And I said, a fob. He said, what kind of car? And I told him, and he said, is this your key? And I was like, oh, what? Because I had called the police station. I called the harbor master. I looked everywhere over these last 24 hours, and it just felt very synchronistic. He said, someone turned this key in to, the night before, and it's been so busy I haven't had a chance to log it into the entry system. But something told me to drive down here tonight, and I guess it must have just been to meet you. And so it's interesting because I had gratitude for Facebook, which has been annoying me a lot lately because I overuse it, and gratitude for hopping on there and being led down there, gratitude for prayer, and gratitude just for the synchronicity. I guess it was like a real reminder of just the magic and the possibilities that exist when we pray and when we extend gratitude instead of our, being frustrated and negative about a situation. So that was my most recent real kind of cool story about gratitude.
Oh, that's such a perfect story. It's so beautiful that you were able to find gratitude for all these things that, like Facebook, that you don't normally find gratitude for. And because I feel like it, certain things it's easy to have gratitude for: our family, our profession, the beauty of nature, all these things. And so to find gratitude for things that maybe kind of rub us the wrong way or make our lives more challenging.
Yeah, because James had said, what were you thinking when I asked you what you're feeling in that moment? And I was like, at first I was like, oh, come on, James. But he goes, I knew you were thinking that. And I wanted to see what kind of gratitude you could come up with in the moment. So that's what made me think of that answer.
Yeah, and that's something that I mean, of course, I don't know you that well, but something that I admire about you is I feel like you have this ability to kind of shift gears quickly and to recognize, like, okay, I'm feeling frustrated, but okay, I'm going to shift gears and I'm actually going to shine a beautiful light on the situation, or shine a different light on the situation so I can create the kind of circumstances that I want. Would you say that's accurate, or?
I think so. It's not always the easiest way, but it's served me very well over the years.
Awesome. Great. Well, so my next question is about the art of chiropractic, and so what I'd like to know is, I feel like for myself as a student, as I'm learning the art of chiropractic, it really requires this profound sense of presence. And so I'm wondering if you have any ideas on how you personally center and align yourself so that you're really present when you're working with people.
That's a real good one. And I do think the artistry is what really defines us as it's the artists or the chiropractors. I've been blessed to receive chiropractic care since I was 2. So I've received some really beautiful, masterful artistry through the adjustment. And I've received some not so beautiful artistry. And, if you look on the wall at an art museum, they're all different, and some resonate and some don't. For me, my presence, I think I learned a lot about being present through studying with people like Arno and Sue from BGI, Katina, and there's a lot of teachers who have exemplified that before me. And I've also noticed in the days when I'm called to serve and I have a lot going on, or if I have certain frustrations in my life, just showing up to serve allows me to be that vessel. And when it helps me to move through my stuff too. But I think that connecting to my heart and connecting to my breath and setting the tone energetically. I use essential oils a lot for myself, and they're a really powerful tool for me to just create balance. Like, I really love scents, so I love the way they stimulate my brain, and that's really powerful for me. Nature is really important. If I don't get enough time in nature, then I don't feel as present just in my everyday life, not just even when I'm serving an adjustment. So
perfect. Yeah, that actually leads me kind of right into my next question in terms of nature and in terms of essential oils. And I feel like so many people that I talk to in school are really focused on the high volume, high profit practice. And to them, that they think that that's what's going to fill them up and nourish them and support them. And I feel like you've done something very different. And maybe you could talk a little bit about what you've done and kind of how you've created that, or how you've built this ability to be in nature and to build in those presence awareness practices that you do into your day-to-day.
Sure. There's a couple things I'm thinking of in that. First of all, when I was in school, I used to sit in classroom and like draw pictures of the ocean and the mountain, write things in my journal. Like, I don't ever see myself in an office. I want to travel the world with my hands and my table and my heart. And I've been blessed to do that a lot. And I think the biggest thing that's allowed me to do that is to trust life, and really, really, really trust life. high volume and Tracey, we just don't go, we're just not a match. I did my practice in Maui, I think was busy. I wouldn't think that people who are really high volume probably wouldn't think so. I think it was max about like maybe 140 people a week, like over 3.5 days. But for me, that was busy. And I've been on mission trips where, you know, we see thousands and thousands of people. And I just feel like my nervous system, it just doesn't appreciate that. It's like, I don't like loud, heavy metal music. And that's what like high volume feels like to me. Like, it's just, it's overwhelming to my nervous system. So after Maui, I actually had my own kind of health crises that I had to address with my adrenals, my thyroid. And I just realized that for me, there was got to be a different way, you know? And so to really listen to that and listen to my heart. And I'm going to tell you, I'm still discovering it. I'm not like, you know, my life looks amazing on the computer and the Facebook and whatnot, but I'm still human, and I still have to work on creating and defining my own my life. And I think that so you're saying high volume, I mean, financially, I'm going to tell you honestly, like, I would not be the person to go to receive coaching on, like, you know, paying off your student loans overnight and, you know, buying the house and driving the fancy cars and having that sort of life. I mean, I have a really nice life, but I think I would be more who people resonate with if they want to learn how to trust their heart, trust life, listen to that message from divine spirit that comes from within, and really, 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 really follow that, because you know, in your sense of knowing that that is what you're meant to do in your life. So that's been my journey. I've had some really unique situations. I've gone on tour with a band, Toots and the Maytals as their chiropractors, and I have done house calls in Martha's Vineyard. I've been on boats. I had a practice in Maui. I sold the practice to go traveling the world, and ended up back in Jamaica, which was actually the first place I ever practiced. So it was like a big full circle. So I've had a lot of really cool adventures, and definitely think that because my hands come with me, my heart comes with me, they've opened the doors for each of these adventures. But I'll tell you something, as much as I love chiropractic, I really don't like practicing. I really, like, my spirit doesn't love being within the confines of like an office and a wall, and I struggle with that. I do struggle with it, because I know that I am a great chiropractor, and I know that I'm masterful in my artistry, and I know that I'm meant to be a chiropractor. I was 2 years old when I told my family I was going to be a chiropractor. And so I have had that struggle of having to define, well, what does that look like for me? Because it certainly doesn't look like what she's doing or what he's doing. And so that's been my own journey. And definitely the creating the, you know, self-care and service trips has been a great way to offer more masses of people on a service-based opportunity in Jamaica. I don't know if you know about those, but that's one of my like higher volume offerings, if you would.
Yeah, I've heard about your trips, and that's what really inspired me about you. And this, you know, as you said, like, I feel like so many people come to chiropractic school just like they come to medical school, where they come with this full heart and they really want to offer their authentic self to the world. Like, that's their ultimate goal. And just like in medical school, I think chiropractic school has this kind of socialization where it keeps pushing you to create this high volume, high profit practice. Like, that's the model that I see people keep pushing us as students to take on. And so what I love about you is that you have really put in the time to find your own authentic expression of what chiropractic is. And I so appreciate your vulnerability and your honesty of saying, you know, it's still a journey. You're still trying to figure that out. Like, you're closer than you were when you originally started, when you were practicing in Maui, but you're still like on that journey, looking for what that authentic expression is.
Well, I think it just keeps redefining itself. Like,
Mm.
and sometimes I just, stop and I'm like, all right, God, how am I meant to serve? Like, show me. And, I always go back to the prayer and the gratitude clearly. And, it's funny because my sister will be like, you got a doctorate and why aren't you could be making so much money and da, da, da. And I'm like, but it feels like it robs my soul. And to tell you the truth, I don't like getting adjusted in that way. Like, I don't, and my spirit, my soul, my body does not like those kind of adjustments. So I'm not going to serve that way.
Yeah, that's something that I personally have been running into at school, is because of course I have to learn to do all the adjustments in a very specific way. But yeah, my personally, I don't resonate with receiving that. So I'm still trying to find my ground to figure out what I really resonate with receiving, so that I can know what I also want to give.
That's the best way to do it.
Oh, thank you. I'm on the right track. So my next question for you is, I feel like you're maybe the self-care spokesman for chiropractic, if I'm allowed to say that. And so I'm wondering what kind of self-care routines have been with you the longest, or the ones that you've like incorporated over the longest period of time. Because I know I have a lot of self-care routines, but they kind of evolve and change over time. So
well, I have to say that the reason it was because I was so disconnected from myself. So like, school for me was horrendous. I hated it. I was overweight. I was burnt out. My soul was crying. There was no time for self-care. And my biggest struggle, like even from like middle school, high school, was food, my body, my relationship to my body. So that was one of my biggest opportunities to heal, is not only to learn how to love my body if I'm going to teach others to love and appreciate theirs, but to really allow food to be my medicine.
And how did you get there? Was there any like specific teacher or technique that you used?
I think, well, I have a couple things that are flashing in my mind right now. I had a great friend at Life University who was like really awesome in the kitchen and creative. And I think she was one of my first sparks of inspiration for really inviting, like touching my food and going for different colors and textures. Like I really loved how she embraced, food. And I think yoga definitely helped me to love my body in a different way. But I think it was when I graduated, really, and the cortisol level in my own body could breathe a little, and I started to vibrate different. I wasn't like in that holding fight flight pattern. But then I think during my journey of like living in Jamaica is the first place that I ever practiced, and being around really live, like, coconut water and fruits and vegetables, and that was helpful. And then I think really living in Maui was 4 years in Maui really, 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 really helped me heal and really helped me tap into different self-care practices. So I worked with an acupuncturist who led the community through these 2 30-day cleanses. That was very powerful for me, on, a cellular level, a soul level, in terms of my relationship with, food and the vibration of food. And so that was very powerful. And then a few years down the road, I actually got a diagnosis of Hashimoto's. And it was like, I got that diagnosis, and I was at a chiropractor's who was doing some functional medicine, and got that. And I was en route to Jamaica, to the airport. And I got there and I go, wow, okay, I know a lot. What am I going to do with this? And so I kind of was able to really dive into the healing power of food, but also bring in the other components of self-care, which I love, which I've mentioned a lot during this conversation: nature, yoga, dance and movement, meditation, of course, chiropractic, like getting adjusted, acupuncture. I like to chant. And the biomat, I don't know if you know the biomat, but it is
I'm familiar with the biomat. I love the biomat.
My best friend, most favorite self-care tool that I have in my home that I use daily. So for those of you who don't know, it's like you can go to www.ilovemybiomat.com. It's like amethyst crystal infrared mat, and it just feels like it brings my nervous system to a really beautiful level of relaxation, and kind of calms the adrenals. So anyhow, I think that over the years I've just been introduced to some really beautiful artists and people who are offering different services that, you know, I gravitated towards. So that's right. You know, I don't know. I think that kind of covers it, but there's always, you know, more discovery. There's something I really want to try, which I've heard of lately, is float tank. Have you ever tried a float tank?
Yeah, there's actually a float tank just down the street from me, like 2 blocks. And
there's one that just opened here in Massachusetts near where my parents live, and I'm like, I really have to do that. So
yeah, it's like meditation on steroids or something. It's really phenomenal.
My birthday's coming up. That's what I'm gonna do.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so I just wanted to say, like, I think it's so powerful that you were able to use your experiences after chiropractic school in order to really find that self-love and to really find a place of comfort within your own body and your own mind, so that you could really offer that to the world. You know, so it was really authentic, the vibration that you were radiating at. So thank you for that.
I just want to add one little piece, you know, that's kind of the whole self-care and service retreat. The reason for the both is because I noticed when I was just in a place of serve, give, that's really when I got depleted. So I realized just how important it is to take care of self and fill up in order to serve others. And actually, that's like the meaning of global livity. If you go to my website, which is so outdated right now, but global livity is a word that I first heard in Jamaica, and it really means like loving others in the ways in which we love ourselves. So, you know, sharing that globally, what would happen if we really, you know, really loved ourselves and then taught others to do the same, and
That's
outward and outward.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I can't help but think of like Stephen Covey in the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and his 7th habit is renewal. And so I think it's important to recognize that the more effective that we want to be, the more renewal is necessary in order to give us the strength to be able to do that, so we can live more full, alive, vibrant lives. You know, that livity aspect. So thanks for that reminder. You mentioned your website, but I can you give our audience, you know, an idea of how to get in touch with you or what you're up to these days? That would be really great.
Sure. So my website hasn't been updated in a while, but it's called globallivity.com. So it's GLOBALIVITY.com.
And we'll put this in the show notes so it's easy for people to just click on.
Or you could globallivity@gmail.com is an easy way to connect, you know, via email. And I'm in the States until September 11th, and then I head back to Jamaica with my husband and my son, and we'll kind of focus more on some upcoming, you know, retreats and whatnot.